Have you ever noticed how easy it is to lose an entire evening without realizing where it went? You check one notification, then another. A quick video becomes 30. An email leads to a news article. The article leads to social media. Before you know it, 2 hours have disappeared. What's strange is that most of us would never casually lose $200. But we'll lose 2 hours without thinking twice. That difference says something important. Because the wealthiest people in the world often don't obsess over every dollar they spend. They obsess over something far more difficult to replace: their attention. And once I started noticing that, I couldn't stop seeing it everywhere. We usually think wealth is about having more money, more investments, more assets, more expensive things. But those are often the result, not the starting point. The deeper advantage is that many financially successful people gradually learn to control where their attention goes. Not because they're naturally more disciplined. Because they've discovered that attention quietly determines almost every financial decision they'll make. Think about the average day. Before you've even had breakfast, hundreds of companies are competing for a piece of your mind. Streaming platforms want one more episode. Social media wants one more scroll. Retailers want one more purchase. News outlets want one more reason to worry. Every notification asks for only a few seconds. Individually, they seem harmless. Collectively, they reshape how we think. Attention has become one of the most valuable resources in the modern economy because it sits upstream from everything else. Where attention goes, decisions follow. Where decisions go, money follows. That's why today's economy doesn't simply sell products anymore. It sells focus, and that changes the game completely. Imagine your attention as a small apartment. Every app, advertisement, email, breaking headline, an algorithmically chosen recommendation is asking to move in. At first, each one takes only a tiny corner. Eventually, the apartment becomes so crowded that your own thoughts barely have anywhere to live. That's what mental clutter feels like, not just being busy. Being occupied by someone else's priorities. Most people believe financial mistakes happen because of poor math. But psychology tells a different story. Behavioral economists have spent decades showing that humans rarely make perfectly rational decisions. We're influenced by stress, scarcity, urgency, comparison, fatigue. When your attention is exhausted, your brain naturally looks for shortcuts. That's when impulse purchases feel reasonable. That's when expensive subscriptions quietly renew. That's when emotional investing replaces patient investing. The decision itself isn't random. It's happening inside an overwhelmed mind. And overwhelmed minds almost always choose immediate relief over long-term value. That's why protecting attention isn't some productivity trend, it's risk management. Here's something I find fascinating. The more money people accumulate, the more they start paying to remove decisions from their lives. Not because they dislike making choices. Because they understand decision fatigue. Successful founders often wear similar clothes every day. Executives block uninterrupted hours on their calendars. Investors ignore most financial headlines. Some even hire assistants to filter emails before they ever read them. From the outside, it can look excessive. From the inside, it's protection. Because every unnecessary decision quietly taxes your attention. And unlike money, attention doesn't compound after you lose it. It simply disappears. Think about investing for a moment. People often assume successful investing is about finding brilliant opportunities. Sometimes it is, but more often, it's about resisting thousands of unnecessary reactions. Every market crash creates panic. Every rally creates excitement. Every headline suggests that action is urgently required. Yet history repeatedly shows that disciplined investors usually outperform emotionally reactive ones over long periods, not because they're smarter. Because they interrupt fewer good decisions with unnecessary emotions. Attention creates patience. Patience creates better outcomes. The relationship is easy to miss because the results don't appear immediately. They're invisible until years have passed. There's another layer that doesn't get discussed enough. Many companies no longer compete primarily for your money. They compete for your habits. If they consistently capture your attention, the money often arrives automatically. Streaming subscriptions, premium memberships, food delivery apps, in-game purchases, buy now buttons, auto renewals. None of these require dramatic decisions anymore. They quietly become part of the background. That's incredibly convenient, but convenience has a psychological cost. The easier spending becomes, the less attention it receives. Money slowly leaves your account without ever fully entering your awareness. That's why so many people look at their monthly statements and genuinely wonder where everything went. Nothing felt expensive. Everything simply felt easy. Which raises an uncomfortable question. If your attention is constantly being guided by algorithms designed to maximize engagement, how many of your financial decisions actually feel like your own? That's not meant to sound cynical. It's simply recognizing the incentives. Most digital platforms succeed by keeping you engaged for as long as possible. Your goals and their goals aren't always aligned. One wants sustained focus. The other often benefits from constant interruption. Understanding that changes how you interpret your own behavior. It becomes less about blaming yourself and more about recognizing the environment you're navigating. And environments shape people more than we usually admit. I've also noticed something interesting about genuinely wealthy people. Not necessarily celebrities or billionaires, but people who have built quiet financial stability over decades. Many of them don't appear obsessed with money at all. Instead, they seem remarkably protective of their mornings, their evenings, their conversations, their reading habits, their calendars. They're selective about medians. Selective about media. Selective about who gets immediate access to them. At first, this can seem distant or even arrogant. But maybe it's something else. Maybe they've realized that attention is where every future dollar begins. A distracted hour today can quietly become a missed opportunity years later, not because every hour must be productive. Rest matters too. Joy matters, relationships matter. Those require attention as well. In fact, they require your best attention, because the quality of your relationships, your health, and your peace of mind often influence your financial decisions far more than another spreadsheet ever will. Financial resilience isn't just about surviving market downturns. It's about surviving emotional downturns. The days when fear tells you to sell everything. The evenings when exhaustion tells you another purchase will somehow fix the feeling. The moments when comparison convinces you that everyone else is moving faster. Those moments don't ask for more intelligence. They ask for more awareness. So what do we actually do with all of this? Maybe we stop thinking of attention as something that simply happens to us. Maybe we start treating it like an investment portfolio. Not every opportunity deserves a place. Not every headline deserves a reaction. Not every notification deserves an answer. Creating moments of uninterrupted thinking isn't laziness. It's financial maintenance. Taking a walk without your phone isn't escaping reality. Sometimes it's reconnecting with your own priorities before someone else decides them for you. Checking your investments less frequently doesn't mean you care less. Sometimes it means you've learned to trust a longer timeline. The goal isn't perfect discipline. None of us have that. The goal is becoming just a little harder to distract. Because every time you choose where your attention goes, you're quietly choosing the direction of your future decisions. And over enough years, those decisions become your financial life. Money can usually be earned again. Attention can't. Once an hour is spent, no market can return it. Maybe that's why the people who seem richest aren't always chasing more. Sometimes they're simply protecting what was valuable all along. Not just their wealth, but the mind that creates it.